Thank you very much for coming. This is a very emotional announcement for me, but also very gratifying. When I received confirmation today that this inquiry into Australia's family law system is going ahead, I actually cried. I cried because I know the heartache that is felt by hundreds of thousands of Australians impacted by the shortcomings of the family law system at a time when they are going through one of the most difficult challenges of their lives, creating normality after separation and divorce. I also cried because of the realisation of the hope that this inquiry will finally bring to people who are floundering in these situations. During a Senate inquiry into the merger of the Federal Circuit Court and the Family Law Court, evidence was heard that on average 3 men suicide each day and 1 woman is murdered each week due to the emotions, the stress and the hopelessness experienced through the lengthy delays, demands, unjust and life-changing decisions made through the family law and child support systems, often by magistrates and judges that are jaded, disinterested, overworked, and even tricked into believing false facts and lies that deliberate on cases. Just imagine over the weekend, while most of us are enjoying time with friends and family, an average of 6 men took their own lives, and far too many women experienced serious family violence. I'm sorry, but I can't live with that on my conscience, and these deaths are only occurring because governments have failed to listen and act on the broken family law system. For the media, family law matters have not been easy to report on either. This has made it very frustrating for those who have clearly and dearly wanted to have their voice heard on this matter. The damaging impacts on the lives of fathers, mothers, grandparents and family members, but most of all our children, will change because of today's announcement to hold this much-needed inquiry into our broken family law system. The Joint Select Committee on the Reform of Australia's Family Law System will delve into the various aspects that have been making life unbearable for so many people dealing with separation and its aftermath. It will investigate all aspects of the family law and child support regime, custody arrangements and the division of assets, the impact of decisions made at the judge's discretion, the cost of legal representation, the well-being of children, access for grandparents and other family members, and the behaviour of lawyers who at times drag matters out for their own financial gain. I call on the Labor Party, my crossbench colleagues and the Greens to support the families of this nation and pass the family law inquiry in the Senate tomorrow. I will make it clear today that I seek to co-chair the hearings over the next year and promise to conduct hearings across all of Australia, both regionally and in our cities. It is an issue that, in my view, is the most important social matter facing Australia today. The desperate calls from broken Australian families will finally be heard. This inquiry will not be an easy one. It will be emotional. I can imagine that I will not be the only one shedding more tears. most often in private, but as this process goes on forward through the 12 months of proceedings. I thank the Prime Minister from the bottom of my heart for his support. I will say that again, I think it's very important. I do thank the Prime Minister from the bottom of my heart for his support in this groundbreaking inquiry, and I encourage the media here today to also provide its support as we journey through this huge but important task. My goal with community, political and media support is to totally rebuild and make a better, more workable family law system for separating and separated couples and their families. For those contemplating suicide and facing potential family violence, I'm asking you to stop and know you have finally been heard. I beg you, please give me a chance to try and make change. Negotiations. I've been, since the first day I got elected back into Parliament in 2016, I met with Prime Minister then Turnbull, and I asked him about to have the family law inquiry or a Royal Commission. I remember going back to 1996 when I was in Parliament then. It was the most talked about issue that crossed my desk. Not a week will go by, or even a day, that people on the street don't pull me up and tell me of their heartaches and the breaks and what is happening, or mothers that have lost their sons through suicide. And as I've mentioned on the floor of Parliament, it has personally touched me with my own family. Even my own personal life I faced through divorce. So I know the issues, I know the heartache and pain, and I know what children go through. And that's why it's very important to me. There was no bargaining chip. I actually put my case forward to the Prime Minister, and I put my case on the floor of Parliament. And it was on pure common sense that it's the people of Australia have been calling for this. And I put that case forward to the Prime Minister, and that's why I am so thankful that he sees how necessary this is, that it must go ahead. It has to be heard. We have to give the people of Australia a voice.
Given how strongly you feel personally about this, you didn't make your support for any other measures conditional on this inquiry getting support from the government?
No conditions, no bargaining chip, nothing.
Could you walk us through what you're hoping to achieve from this inquiry that previous inquiries haven't done? There was most recently the ALRC report which was delivered to the government or released by the government, I think it was in April this year. Where will this go?
ALRC never gave the people a real voice. For all Australians, this inquiry, this inquiry, as I said to the Prime Minister, will not be rushed. I intend to take it right around the country, to every capital city, to rural and regional areas, to those people who cannot, to give them an opportunity to have a voice. It's covering from not only the law courts, we're talking about children and the impact it's having on them, to lawyers, to DVOs that are placed against people, perjury, cost. It's costing families. We've got to find ways to, instead of dragging it through the court system, that these people must have an opportunity finding other ways. Maybe it's through mediation, negotiations. It also will open up about child support, which is an unfair system. A lot of people can't get on with their lives. We have to ask the question, why do we sit back and have not done anything when it's quite evident there are 3 men suiciding on average a day and 1 woman being murdered a week? Isn't that evidence enough that this must go ahead? We've got to find the answers. As leaders of this nation, legislators, we've just ignored this call. We really have. And when the Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said to me on the first meeting, well, that's a tough one. And even George Brander said, it's a tough one. I don't believe it's, look, to use the term rigged, I think that a lot of fathers feel they're not getting a fair go. And that's a shame. Everyone has a right to fair go. And when I hear from fathers and even mothers who don't see their children at all for no good reason, that's why the despair, the misery, the hurt, the pain. And it's not just from a few, it's from hundreds of thousands of people. And when I listen to the grandparents that don't see their grandchildren, it's not good enough. And I tell those parents out there, it's not about you anymore. It's about the children. Every child really has only one mother, one father, the biological mother and father. They have every right to spend time with that parent. Get on with your life and move on. If you've separated from your partner, so be it. Don't destroy the children's lives. Unless their partner, has criminal record or there is reasons that they shouldn't see the children, try and work together.
Would you characterise this as the Pauline Hanson inquiry?
Sorry?
Would you characterise this as the Pauline Hanson inquiry? How much
Children's inquiry.
It's not the Pauline Hanson inquiry. This is the Australian People's Inquiry. I delivered their message. That's all I've done.
But it wouldn't have happened without you, would you say?
I'd say that I've pushed extremely hard. You see, in this place, I've got many things done for the people of Queensland and Australia because I present a common sense argument. And that's the reason why I've been successful in many things that I've achieved, to be a true representative for the people. And when I have other members of Parliament come up and say to me, we support you on this, they've had every opportunity, even before I was in this Parliament, before 2016, to really push for change. And it hasn't happened. I am very passionate about this country. I'm very passionate about the Australian people. And that's why my involvement in this, I will make sure, I give my guarantee that I will allow the people to have their voice. And at the end, when the report's handed down, I will make sure that it is fair and just and reasonable, so everyone will be listened to.
If you wanted to co-chair, who would be the other two?
That's yet to be announced by the government. And then after we've actually had the meeting, and they've got to select who will be on the committee.
Have you got undertaken that you could be the co-chair?
I have asked for that position, that I will be co-chair.
Michelle Durandal, who's fallen half the role this week by her father, is in Canberra today with Women's Legal Services pushing for a specialist domestic violence court to deal with the 50 to 87 cases in the family law court that have domestic violence background. Do you have any thoughts on that proposal?
I know that she's trying to meet with members of Parliament. We've reached out to her. We sent her an email to the legal services to actually have a meeting with her. So that is a case of a mother that's lost her child. There's cases of fathers that have lost their child. This is why this inquiry needs to be heard, to get to the bottom of the answers that need to be.
Given this inquiry, it's over a 12-month period, is that correct?
Yes.
Is there anything that you're pushing for at the moment to try to fix the broken system, which many people have described? You're hearing from lawyers that it is screaming out for further resources to ease some of those delays. Is there anything that you want right away?
I put a private member's bill on the floor of Parliament on Monday with regards to looking at mediation rather than going into the court system. Mediation that they have to sit down to do with property and also with custodial, who's the non-custodial parent or custodial parent of the children, try and work that out. And that was actually knocked back by both the Liberal and the Labor Party. And to hear Senator Dodson's comments, saying it was ill thought out and ridiculed me over it, and I thought that was a bit hard. And I'll say to Senator Dodson, Labor Party, what have you done? What's your answers to solve the problem? Nothing. So, if you want to direct criticism, then you put up an alternative. And this is why I want both We have to work together. Forget about your political leanings or anything else that is happening here. It's about time we all worked together.
On that note of working together, representatives from the Women's Legal Service was speaking earlier and saying that they'd be really open to speaking with you and having a collaborative approach, despite the fact that they're really keen on protecting women specifically and wives and mothers and so on. Would you be open to that, and can you confirm if you will meet them at all in the next few days?
Well, I won't confirm that I can meet them in the next few days, my schedule. I will have a meeting with them, and I hope through this inquiry I'll be meeting all groups, not just women's groups, but also men's groups. Everyone has the right to have a child. Even, we're about children's organisations and about the children. It's about getting a fair balance, a fair view about what is happening right across the board with everyone. All right, thank you very much.